Hi, welcome to the first episode of Venu Creations, where we break down the psychology behind human behavior. I'm Kel. I'm here today to help you understand yourself and others better. In this video, we explore the psychology of ghosting, why it happens, what it says about attachment styles, and how it affects us. This is such an important topic, especially since so many people have experienced ghosting but don't always understand why it happens. And it's not just about being ignored, it can really affect how people see themselves, which is why this conversation matters. And this is something so many people can relate to. And somehow it always happens right when you think things are going well. One minute you're texting, the next minute, poof, paranormal activity. Which is funny because our brains are actually wired to panic when there's no closure. To understand ghosting, we actually have to go back, way back, to childhood. Because attachment doesn't start in dating, it starts when we're kids. When you're a child, you rely on your caregivers for everything: food, safety, comfort, right? And your brain is constantly asking one big question. Is it safe to need someone? Not consciously though, but emotionally. The answer you get, over and over again, becomes your attachment style, basically your relationship operating system. There are 4 main attachment styles. We'll keep this simple and real life. First, secure attachment. These are people who feel okay with closeness and space. They can say things like, "Hey, I need some time to myself, but we're good." Then there's anxious attachment, the second one. These people value connection deeply, but silence feels threatening. A late reply doesn't feel neutral, it feels personal. And then there's the third one, avoidant attachment, which we're focusing on today. Avoidant people value independence, self-sufficiency, and emotional control. And closeness too, especially emotional closeness, can feel uncomfortable or even suffocating. Lastly, fearful avoidant, which is a mix of wanting closeness and being afraid of it. Did you know texting really exposes attachment styles? Anxious people tend to reply quickly, double text, and notice every shift in tone. Secure people are generally consistent and clear. Avoidant people? Replies are short, response times are inconsistent, and when conversations start getting emotional, that's usually when they pull away. Not because they don't care, but because their nervous system is overloaded. So you would ask, why avoidant people ghost? This is the part where a lot of misunderstandings happen. Avoidant people usually aren't trying to hurt anyone. Many of them grew up in environments where emotions weren't welcomed. Maybe they were told, "Stop being sensitive, don't be needy," or they were ignored when they needed comfort. So they adapted. They learned, "If I don't need anyone, I won't get hurt." That belief doesn't disappear in adulthood. When emotional closeness shows up, an avoidant person's body reacts like it's in danger. Heart racing, tight chest, strong urge to escape. So when someone says, "Can we talk about this?" their nervous system hears, "You're trapped." Even saying "I need space" feels risky because it still requires vulnerability, and vulnerability once meant rejection or shame. So then, why ghosting feels like relief? Ghosting skips all of that discomfort. No explaining, no emotional exposure, no chance of conflict. In the moment, it feels like relief. But the irony is, they disappear to avoid hurting, and the silence ends up hurting more. If you've been ghosted, this part is important. It wasn't because you weren't enough. It was about someone else's emotional capacity. Understanding this can bring clarity, but it doesn't mean you have to accept the behavior. And if you're listening and thinking, "Oh, this sounds like me," you're not broken. Your nervous system learned to survive early. You don't have to share everything at once. Even saying, "I'm overwhelmed and need time," is progress. Attachment styles aren't permanent. They're patterns, and patterns can change. Sometimes the conversation we avoid feels safer, but staying just a little longer can teach our nervous system something new, that it's okay to be seen, and that we don't have to disappear to be safe. So, before we wrap this up, I want to slow things down a bit. Because if this episode resonated with you, whether you've been ghosted or you're someone who pulls away, it probably stirred something deeper than just dating or texting. Yeah, for a lot of people, ghosting isn't really about one person or one conversation. It taps into old feelings, old fears, old wounds. When someone disappears, the pain isn't just the silence. It's what the silence activates inside you. That feeling of being unchosen, unimportant, easy to leave. If you were ghosted, here's something important to remember. Your nervous system might be reacting like, "This confirms what I always feared." But ghosting doesn't define your worth. It reflects someone else's capacity, not your value. You don't have to minimize your needs just because someone else couldn't meet them. And if you're someone who disappears when things get too close, this isn't about shaming yourself. Avoidant patterns come from learning that closeness once felt unsafe. Your nervous system learned to protect you the best way it knew how. Healing doesn't mean forcing yourself into vulnerability overnight. It means noticing the urge to disappear and getting curious instead of judgmental. Reparenting yourself means becoming the safe adult you didn't always have, the one who doesn't abandon you when emotions show up. So when you feel the urge to ghost, or the panic of being ghosted, pause and ask, what does this part of me need right now? Not, what should I do? But, what would help me feel safer in this moment? Here's a gentle truth that can be hard to accept. Not everyone is capable of the kind of connection you're ready for. And that doesn't make anyone bad. It just means you're at different places in your healing. You don't need to chase people who disappear, and you don't need to disappear to be worthy of love. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't staying in a relationship. It's staying present with yourself, not abandoning your needs, not dismissing your feelings. Learning that connection doesn't have to cost you your safety. You're allowed to want clarity, you're allowed to want consistency, and you're allowed to grow out of patterns that once kept you safe, but no longer serve you. If this episode resonated with you, take a moment to breathe. Nothing here needs to be fixed immediately. Awareness is already the beginning of change, and healing doesn't mean you'll never want to run. It means you're learning how to stay a little longer, with yourself first. As you move into the rest of your day, let this land quietly, like a note you don't have to answer right away. You can carry it with you in small ways, in how you pour a glass of water, in how you soften your shoulders, in how you choose your next sentence. If it helps, pick one gentle intention for the next 24 hours. Something simple and doable. Maybe it's asking, "What do I need right now?" without arguing with the answer. Or giving yourself permission to take one step instead of solving the whole staircase. And if old patterns show up later, let them be information, not a verdict. You're allowed to learn at your own pace. You're allowed to return again and again to what steadies you. And that's it. Thank you for spending this time with us. When you're ready, let the next moment be a little kinder than the last. And before you go, let us know your thoughts in the comment section. If there are any topics you want us to cover next, drop those in the comment section too. We'd love to hear from you. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye-bye.